Welcome to Slice Property Made Possible. This season is powered by New Zealand Home Loans, local mortgage mentors who have been helping Kiwis achieve their financial goals for 27 years with proven results. The thing I love about NZHL is the mortgages are tailored for you with ongoing personalised service, coaching and tools to put you in control. It doesn't end with buying your property, they continue to help you pay down any loans and build your wealth, which can't be said about all advisors. This season, we will be playfully roasting everyday buyers and experts so you can learn from our mistakes. Head to today's episode notes to get access to our free home buyers software and your very own NZHL advisor. Welcome back to another episode of Slice Your Property podcast. We are joined by the legendary Stan from the Attention Seeker. Feeling warmed up?
I'm feeling very warm.
Hey, so Stan, we know that you've not actually purchased property.
Yes.
What can you tell us about your no home journey?
I grew up in a family of real estate agents and brokers, and it was just something that I was exposed to a lot of, and it didn't really excite me a whole lot about buying a home. So I've never really been excited by it. And then also, I just, as I began the business that I have, I felt that my money and my time was better invested in the business. It was a very high-risk strategy, but it was something that I thought I could do a better return on in the short term, at least.
High risk, high reward.
That's it.
It is. And I mean, yeah, I get what you mean. Like, I guess you want to go your own way with the family doing that. I mean, there's another way to do that though, which is like, hey, they've done an amazing job with property. Why not make some money myself and go in that direction?
For sure.
Just a black sheep, do you reckon?
A little bit, but also I seen the ups and downs of it too. And my parents are both feast and famine sometimes with their property journeys as well, and got caught out by different things. But also, like, I totally get it. Property, especially in a country like New Zealand, where so much of our economy is built on this
tied up into
property. Like it's a real sound investment. I'm just like in that stage of my life where I'm like, let's go all in. Like, let's go for broke. That's literally my words that I'll say all the time. Let's go for broke. Do I think I can? So
your strategy is go broke.
Yeah,
just remove the four and you're there.
Essentially, like if you don't, I think sometimes in business, like in the startup world, it's the same.
Yeah.
You've got to have some, like, be smart somewhat, but like when you're trying to grow a big startup, like, you've got to think like this is going to be $1 billion company.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta think
otherwise,
that way.
there's no point.
There's no point. Why go through all the heartache and the stress that it takes? And so it's kind of that. Like, I really do think I can. And if we think about the growth of the company over the last 5 years, at least for now, it's far more valuable as a growth strategy than it was to invest in property at the same time. If you did the math, that doesn't mean it'll continue.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't mean that I'll get to realize those gains.
Yeah, it is a much higher reward, bigger gain opportunity. Yeah. But then while property fluctuates, it has that underlying value. Yeah. So it doesn't go bankrupt. Exactly. It doesn't go broke. There's always something there.
That's it. And you can just sell it and cash out. You can't really do that easily with businesses all the time, especially in a business that's like going for broke, because it's not a real high profit generating business. It's like an accounting firm that has like a pretty stable, like, people understand what accounting firms make and how they generate revenue. So they have like a easy thing to sell and buy the books of. But like, my business is so hard to value. Yeah. Because how much of it is contingent on me being there? How much is the people staying there, the brands and everything? So like, that is the high risk part too of our business, is that like, it is unrealized gains, because it doesn't mean I've got no business value until someone pays me for it. Yeah. But a house, it's got a utility. Like,
it's always got a base value. Yeah. You can always sell it with for a very clear value. That value may fluctuate, but there is a value there. Exactly. As opposed to
whatever the hell I've got. Yeah.
As opposed to
an Instagram account.
Yeah, an Instagram account. Hey, well, there's value in that, I reckon. The amount of work we put into our Instagram account, I reckon I'd throw some money for some more followers. But hey, so moving into kind of other investments, do you have kind of any other investments, and what does that strategy look like?
Yeah, strategy.
Other than go for broke.
Yeah, strategy is a generous word, but like my KiwiSaver, my superannuation has been like my base strategy for a long time, and that it's just money put away for my retirement, so that when I am old and decrepit, I've got some money there that can see
You're not
me out.
literally broke.
I'm not
like,
literally
let's go
broke.
for broke, but
Let's go
not
for
be
broke.
literally broke.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And yeah, a handful of small businesses. Well, they're not necessarily small. My investments into them are somewhat small compared to the size of the companies that I've invested in because I believed in the products and the services that they had. And otherwise, it's just this business and my brand, like just investing in that and trying to maximize that return for now.
Yeah, and not like a lot of diversification, but at least a couple of options to go, well, hey, if this doesn't go in the direction. Yeah.
I've never felt that like earning money or earning income is a hard thing. So I back myself in my ability to always earn income and earn good income and continuously increase the amount that I can earn.
Do you have insurance?
Yes, I have insurance.
Yeah, because that would be the gap there, because of course you can earn while you're healthy.
While you're healthy.
Yeah.
And so insurance has been something that more I did for Claire than I did for anything else, my wife, so that there's some peace of mind. Like she doesn't have the same risk tolerance as me, so that I have the insurance so that if anything happens to me, she is still taken care of. And I maximize that as much as I could. Well, as much as was reasonable.
Yeah.
And we continue to increase it as we earn.
Yeah.
But you're right. Like you got to be healthy. It's a big part of it. And I think that I have that thought in my head that I've never found it hard to generate income or get income. Like I'm really okay just doing a hard day's work if I have to. I don't mind getting work done and generating income. And I've over time have learned how to get more of it at any one time and increase my value. So because of that, I think that like I'm still quite young in my journey. And I still think there's going to be plenty of time for property and there's plenty of time for other diversification. But right now, investing in myself and my ability to generate income and cash flow, I think is a real important skill. And I think I am uniquely positioned to do that right now for myself.
Both for yourself and also through the business, like those two things happening at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah. And when it comes to expenditure as well, you sent through some information, you provided your rent, which was $720. Mm-hmm. I was like ready to shred you out because I thought it was going to be like quite expensive. And I was like, actually, no, that's pretty reasonable. That's pretty, it's not like someone's spending $1,000 or $1,500 and you think, well, actually, that should be going to a mortgage.
Yeah, I got really lucky. My landlord is the same landlord as my commercial property, and he's really good to us. He's frozen our rents essentially because he wants to retain us as your
he's actually in bed with you in a couple of different ways. Of course, he's okay giving you a good residential deal if you're actually giving him commercial rent.
Yeah, so we have a really good my strategy for rentals is that never be desperate.
Yeah.
Never be desperate to take a rental.
Act cool.
Yeah. And also just walk away. If it doesn't work, walk away from the deal. And I've walked away from lots. Last year, it took me a year to sign the second commercial property we've got. And we did a lot. I paid lawyers. We did through the whole due diligence, did everything. And just walked away from the deal.
And you're paying $32,000 now in commercial
We will, essentially once both leases are in full operation, which the first one won't be till October. And that's part of me being able to negotiate well. We've got access to premises now, but I won't be paying any rent from the new property till October.
Nice.
And the idea is that if you can, and same with the tenancy that we have for our home, that if you negotiate on the rent that you're paying, and there are levers you can pull, and if they don't want it, walk away.
Yeah.
And that's just been our philosophy all the time. And then the same thing with rent. If they were to increase the rent, I'd just be like, okay, well, I'm moving out. And they wouldn't. And then
that's that.
And that's that. And they just wouldn't because they're business people.
Yeah.
They understand. They'd prefer, we're good tenants.
I mean, they're going to be super happy to receiving $32,000 or half of that or whatever it is going to the landlords. Is the landlord the same across both?
No, the other landlord's separate.
Yeah.
And that was a real, we negotiate hard there too. So that's about $9,000 a month less than what the market rent was.
Nice.
On it.
But still, $32,000 rent in total. That could be, a commercial property.
Yeah.
Have we thought about investing in commercial property?
Yeah, definitely, and we want to, and we think that in time it will. And we've got this new lease is 3 years, and our current lease they'll kind of end together.
Yeah.
Well, our option to extend them happens at the same time.
Yeah, lined them up kind of intentionally.
Yeah. And so at that point, we would love to get commercial property. There's a cash flow issue there. $32,000 a month for the spaces that we have is far lower than the repayments on those same amount of spaces and where they are, but also the upfronts
Yeah, the deposit I can
Yeah.
understand, like that takes cash flow away from your business. But there may be some low deposit or different like option that you
Definitely.
can arrange with them. I mean, you're good at negotiating. So I think that commercial property, whilst not always an opportunity for everyone or not always kind of the right outcome, makes sense if you're spending 32K anyway.
Yeah.
Like that is basically a 5 mil building, and maybe that's not in the location you want to be in.
Yeah.
But
You have to factor all that stuff in because, you know, the size of the space that we have would be, I mean, you're looking at 10 to 12 million in the area that we are for the size of the place that we need. You know, 1,000 square metres in Ponsonby is not cheap. But I do think commercial property is a good investment for us as a business.
because of
Yeah.
course you can move that money that you'd be putting towards, you know, the lease into your property.
Well, that's
also
growing our
setting
personal
yourself,
wealth.
you guys basically,
Yeah.
you one entity owning the property, the company paying you,
Yeah.
and then just avoiding tax by little
Exactly.
Ponzi scheme.
Little Ponzi scheme. We love
Yeah.
Ponzi schemes. All businesses are Ponzi scheme. I love it. You know, just shifting money around until
just
you're
real
wealthy.
sort of
Yeah.
like shifty stuff.
I also think too, because we don't want to live in New Zealand long term, commercial property is a good investment for us to get some real wealth here, because the business will eventually just pay it off as you do it.
Yeah.
And we can be off in other countries. In New Zealand, the New Zealand arm of our business really does run on its own really well now, which is why we're expanding to New York, because I can get out of it and go to another country. And then, so if you've got this team who's running a business here without you and running a profit and paying off your business, the commercial
Your property, yeah. You've
it's
got all
real
your
good.
things working for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's definitely why we're thinking the 3-year mark. Start to figure out how we actually do that. I mean, the only problem with that is like trying to buy a property in 3 years in Ponsonby might be a terrible time to buy, but who knows?
I
It's
mean, I
already
think
getting
it's a
harder.
lot better than it has been, though. So, and it's probably going to be a slow recovery.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Yeah,
So
so
we'll see.
we'll see. And the other option is you could always go on a syndicate. Like if you've got enough for 5 mil, for example, but it may be more in 3 years' time.
Yeah.
But it could be that there's another commercial investor that wants
good
to
point.
go through.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
You-
that's a great point, actually.
You
My
know,
current landlord probably would want to.
Yeah, so you just go, hey, look, let's go and buy this
Yeah.
together. I'm going to at least have, you know, some sort of co-ownership in this investment, and we're going to actually lease it. So everyone's going to benefit from that.
That's it.
But then you can get into that 10 mil, 15 mil, whatever it is that you're shooting for.
Yeah, that was a good point. To be honest, I didn't think of that. I didn't think
Oh,
of that.
well, you can come on another
Yeah,
episode.
that's it. I'm 3 years and we'll talk about my first property being a commercial property.
Yeah.
It's time for a segment we're calling Roast My Home Hunt. It's time to roast, don't take it to heart. When we learn from your mistakes, we all get smart.
No, but that's fine. I think like everyone has
Yeah.
different circumstances,
Yeah.
and the same when we look at residential property, we talk about co-ownership.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's actually no different. And a lot of when we were actually exploring some of the co-ownership structures, I was talking because my background is in banking, and I was talking with a lot of people that had done it, and it is actually syndicated kind of
Yeah.
commercial investment that a lot
Yeah.
of the bankers do. It's really no different. It's just that if you are residential and you want to live somewhere, sometimes it makes sense to co-own residential. If you aren't necessarily going to live there, but you're going to pay 32 grand in rent per month, then actually maybe it makes sense to have a vested interest in the commercial property. So it's just circumstantial.
Yeah, 100%. It's good. I like it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
your new strategy.
That's my new strategy.
Good,
I'm
sorted.
gonna- See, this is it. I got 3 years to learn all this stuff. And then before I just jump in, I'm not the sort of person who just jumps into random stuff too. Like
Yeah.
I really want to, I'm one of those people who just annoyingly needs to know everything. Even the household I grew up in, commercial property was never part of those conversations. Like,
Yeah.
it was always residential stuff. So I don't understand all the ins and outs of commercial property. I now know pretty good in the leasing side of it as
Yeah.
a tenant.
All you need to know is remove the landlord
Yeah.
and you're paying yourself.
Yeah, that's it. I pay myself.
Yeah.
Exactly. I don't need maybe as an expensive lawyer to make my tenancy agreement.
Yeah, you're just doing some dodgy ass agreement that you've written up yourself on a paper
Exactly.
napkin.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I love that though. Like, I love the aptitude for learning, and that's very much what Slice is about in terms of education.
Yeah.
Where a big part of what we do now is education. We never thought we'd be creating a brand and like trying to film podcast episodes with you. You know, it's actually kind of embarrassing because you're the attention guy. And when it comes to, I guess, business lending, I did ask this question, and it is interesting. You haven't necessarily had challenges, but a lot of people have to actually, to get business lending, have to own a house and then lend against that.
We were actually like quite surprised we didn't. We got it so easy because we don't use a lot of debt relative to the revenues. They were pretty happy with our financials from it. So we haven't lent a lot. Like the biggest loan we took out was $100K, and as a loan facility. And at the time, I think that was a little while back now, we're doing $3 million revenue. And so from their perspective, they're like, you've got this.
What about that early stage? Did you just manage to bootstrap for that period?
We, 100%. And being a professional service, like there's very low cost at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, there isn't a much need to buy a lot of things. And I already had, a computer coming from my previous job, and I already had all the tech I needed.
The basics, yeah.
I probably only spent about 10 grand in the first year of my own money starting the business.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
It's different, hey? Like we had to obviously develop the tech,
yeah.
but then the costs of our business are a lot lower.
Yeah, of course.
So as we scale, there's like an upfront cost, and then as we scale over time, the cost actually drops away.
But mine doesn't.
Yeah, and yours grows in line with the revenue. So I guess that's a challenge.
Yeah, that's it. And it's a far different type of business model when you're in professional services, because you can still scale. People often think you can't scale professional service, but there's 8 billion people in the world. There's plenty of people to hire.
Yeah.
It's just that your costs scale with it.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing with tech-based companies, is because your costs don't scale anywhere near the same way.
Yeah. I think some of our audience won't actually know much about your business. So do you want to actually dive into that a little bit? Tell us about the attention seeker.
Yeah. I mean, it's mostly in the name, in that we help people find attention. And essentially we're a social media marketing agency at this point. But, our beginning started in LinkedIn. We're LinkedIn marketing, LinkedIn personal branding, helping business leaders and business owners develop their personal brands. And that just evolved into everything else because we started getting really good at video. So then people were like, can you do this for my brand, and can you do it for this? And then now we work with clients from everything from one-man bands who are solopreneurs all the way up to Fortune 100 companies in the US. And so we run social media and personal branding for literally a
massive variety.
From 660 the band through to telcos to an insurance broker.
I'm really interested how you've found getting access to those different clients, because often when a company's growing, they pick the segment that they can start in and do really well and kind of create repeatable processes, but it seems like quite rapidly you've diversified into different kind of audiences.
Absolutely. It was a strategic decision at the beginning. I mean, our business was born out of COVID, and I came from hotels.
Yeah.
And hotels industry got decimated at the beginning of COVID, and then so many other industries lost. Anyone who served the hotel industry got smashed, or the restaurant industry.
Yeah.
And so I just saw at the beginning of this business journey of if I only have one type of customer, what if they all disappeared? What if actually that whole sector disappeared? And it just happened to people.
Yeah. So it was front of mind.
Real, yeah. And so I was like, okay, I want diversity in the type of person, but the type of problem is the same.
Yeah.
Which is people need to get more attention on them. Our whole philosophy is we do what we do for our clients for ourselves first. We're always case study number one.
Yeah.
We don't sell things we don't do for ourselves.
Which I think is massive when it comes to social media marketing, because when you look at an agency and they've got 100 followers, you're like, well, how are you going to get me 10,000?
Exactly.
If you can't get
get it for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was our whole thing. Now we sit at about 2.6 million across our profiles. And people are like, oh, how do you know this works? And we're just
there you go.
I mean, I'm not really sure how to show you, but
yeah.
And so that really helped. This is our first year we've done outbound strategy, real solid outbound strategy. Everything's come to us. 660 found us.
Yeah, that's so cool. And the other thing is, I guess, the attention, the problem of going, I'm going to go into social media, and I think the problem is these brands don't know how to get attention, or, people need attention to grow. And obviously that's a changing market as well, from what attention used to look like to, as you said, it's already changed for you from LinkedIn, in terms of channels that you're focusing on. But what was that born out of? Because it's not necessarily hotels, but certainly, I guess, through that COVID period, people were looking for more attention.
Yeah, I think so. In hotels, one of the things that you get taught as a GM is that you generally manage the entire hotel. As a general manager, that's your job, right? And so you have to know marketing and sales. And if you don't, and I knew early on in my career that if you can't get marketing and sales to work, you don't have a business. And so I was always really close to all the marketers. So I just intuitively knew the things anyway. then when it came to attention, just understanding that like the world of social media was changing and the pay to play model that had dominated for about 5 to 6 years on social was starting to be disrupted because of TikTok. And TikTok then changed the whole landscape of social media, that actually the best social medias will be if you give me content that I want to watch, then I'll continue to watch it.
Yeah.
And so I learned that real early on watching everything. LinkedIn was actually doing the same thing. It just did it in its own way.
And it's developed, it's weird now. Everything's a lead gen thing on LinkedIn. I'm like, oh man, I'm just commenting here for my free like PDF all the time again.
That is real funny. That's a funny trend that we're seeing too, that the mini chat, like the chat bot or like the auto.
It's actually kind of annoying. Like it's not really what I want the LinkedIn space to be.
Yeah.
And I actually think people might push back a little bit on that.
They will.
Yeah.
Marketers ruin everything.
Yeah.
So it was really cool, the first people who did it, and then they made a lot of money.
Yeah.
And now everyone's doing it. And we've done it for some of our stuff before, and it works brilliantly. But then everyone does it.
Yeah. One interesting thing around the TikTok is the old US situation. What have you guys seen with that? And what do you think about TikTok's future, I guess?
I mean, to be honest, by this stage, we're just taking day by day. That Sunday, 3 of our TikTok accounts went down and we lost over 1 million followers in that Sunday. So that was pretty crazy.
Kind of heartbreaking when you put so much time and effort into it though.
Yeah, definitely. And I was pretty confident it was going to come back, and it did 12 hours later. But it did sort of just wake up to go, well, it affirmed what we always thought, which is none of these platforms are guaranteed.
Yeah.
You have to diversify across them. And so it's why
one could consider that when thinking about their investment strategy.
They definitely could. And that's true. And that's what we did on the platform. Building brand is an investment.
Yeah.
It is a massive investment. Like me building my brand, if the company falls over or it closes or whatever,
you've got your personal brand. Yeah. So actually, you're diversifying your brand strategy. The question is, can you carry that over into your financials? But
yeah, I think for me right now, it's a good diversification.
Yeah.
In that it's not it's my business, my brand, the long-term super, the small investments I made into a couple of startups that I believed in because I bought their stuff and used their products.
Well, some people don't even have like 2 things in their portfolio, so you've got to recognise that as well. But I guess that like the startups and your business are they're all kind of riskier. But then when you actually break down your own business and go, as you said, like actually I've got my personal brand here. Like if everything did shut down, I'd get a job like that, like in a high performance role with a great salary. So you got to think there's actually different, like more intangible.
People don't really look at brand that same way when they are individuals. I think big companies do, obviously. Like Nike understands the power of its brand.
Yeah.
But like an individual, say like a mortgage broker, let's call, off the top of my head, they don't look at their personal brand the same way as an asset value that they might have, so they don't invest in it either. Yeah. But it truly can do a lot for you.
But yeah, how is the business going? Is it going as expected and the investment is?
Honestly, if I had truly looked at this business 5 years ago when we kind of started it, there's no way I would have thought it was here at this point. Like, it's gone better than, like, beyond our dreams of what we thought it would be, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's smooth sailing. Like,
no.
Any business is hard. It's not been easy. My wife and I made a lot of sacrifices to get it to this point. You know, we have close to $300,000 payroll every month, like.
It's got to cause some anxiety.
Yeah. You think about it, I could buy 3 houses a year in New Zealand, in Auckland for that.
But obviously you expect and assume that you get back,
yes. We are definitely over-investing in our growth. Like, like a typical startup would, even in tech, it's like we're not running at loss, but we're running pretty close to break even. Yeah. And trying to grow. This is the first year, from 1st of April, our budget for the next financial year is to actually make a profit, like a proper profit outside of, we pay ourselves salary and things like that. We do obviously earn money from the business, but have the business properly make profit for the first time.
And pay yourself a dividend, like, because really just getting a salary, given everything that you're putting in, is not.
It's not enough.
Not enough,
no. But we also knew that, like, if we're going to do this properly, we have to go hard on it and try it. Like, I was earning good money in my career. If we really want to make this good, we have to grow it to something worthwhile, putting this amount of stress on to ourselves.
Yeah. Would you share what you were earning and then what you dropped to?
Yeah. I mean, wow. I was earning 120K plus bonus as a GM. and then I dropped to 0. But my first salary up until last year I was paying myself $48,000 a year.
Yeah, see, that's what the people don't understand, eh?
Nah.
They do not understand that. It looks glamorous, but it's like you're poorer than you've ever been.
Yeah,
Why do we
100%.
do this?
I don't know. And like I said to my wife, like, because we talked about it, we put our salaries up. We've doubled it. We're now paying ourselves $90,000 a month each.
Yeah,
A
nice.
month. That'd be great.
Yeah, that would be great.
That'd be amazing. A year. But we've also, the other thing is too, like as a business owner, so many of your expenses are taken care of by the business as well. You know, especially like your phone and the internet and all these sorts of things that you have are taken care of. We also like, we've never had a lot of expenses. Like we don't own a car.
Yeah.
You know, if we don't own things that like cost us money, we're just not those sorts of people. I wear the same clothes every day.
Yeah.
Like I'm just not. We're not people who
Worry about or that
we don't
or
buy
like
lots of stuff.
Yeah.
We don't buy lots of stuff. We do a lot of experience-based things, and that's probably where we made the biggest sacrifice. Claire loves to travel, and we've done far less travel in the last 5 years than we would have.
Yeah.
That has since changed. You know, we've been expanding to New York, so that's been a lot of travel.
Been an opportunity with work, yeah.
With work to do it, yeah.
To kind of give the other side of the coin. I bought properties beforehand, and as a result, I probably had to have a higher salary or like take higher drawings. And so I have put myself under undue pressure, and you're already under pressure as a business owner.
Yeah.
But I think I've always had to be on something like 60 at my low.
Yeah.
And I think I'm still on that. Or like I'm still I'm still cranking on that. But I can't survive much longer on that.
No.
Like I tell you, it's this bloody hard, and
It's
you
tough.
and you get it.
Yeah.
But then I've got one house is tenanted, but the other one's like my mortgage is coming out of that. So my mortgage is like 80% of what's going into my account. My poor partner's in a normal job, and I'm like, I can't afford that.
No.
I can't afford that. So it's I think in some ways, if you are going into business and you're super serious about that, I would also say it's actually not the easiest thing to have property and other assets. And manage all those things. Like I'm glad that I'm diversifying in that sense, because I actually don't put money into KiwiSaver.
Yeah, okay, interesting.
So I just rather make my own money than
Makes
trust
sense.
other people to make it for me. So similar with the business, but then also moving into the property space, I'm like, you can also experience leverage. You borrow $800K from the bank, and then the interest on that is what's made, as opposed to just the interest on your own money going into KiwiSaver.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think for me, the reason I still put into KiwiSaver and Super is because it's kind of like the angel on the other shoulder telling me like, okay, we know how bad the devil's taking you.
Yeah.
Like, we know how crazy this is. Like, just do something, you know?
Just do something safe.
Do something safe. And that's kind of why I've always done it. I was like, and it also, because Claire's risk tolerance is a lot lower than mine.
Yeah.
And so for her, it like puts her at ease too, knowing that like, okay, go for gold. I trust you and I back you, but I know that if everything
we've got
hits
a
the fan,
bit of a backup
we've
plan.
got a bit of a backup plan, and we're both still young and healthy, that we can just go get jobs if this all falls apart. So, but we won't walk away with nothing after this, right? Like there's still this nest egg getting put away. That some of our money's there, and in New Zealand especially, like we don't probably look to live in New Zealand long term. So like we're not opposed to using KiwiSaver in the short term to then like take that out and buy property and do something with that.
Yeah.
We can't do that with our super in Australia the same way, but maybe in New Zealand. So there's been options there. We'll see.
Yeah. It's interesting though, and I think it's interesting to people to think about if you are like considering the business owner direction and what those challenges look like, because property very much is my kind of safety, my backstop, but obviously I still have to make sure that that I can keep that and sustain that over that period of time. But I think it's good to have a couple of options and whatever that strategy is. And I guess if in my situation, if I was trying to build a property platform and I didn't own any property, that would also be a bit weird and off-brand. So
100%. It would be very weird.
Anyway, that's been amazing, Stan. Well, before I let you go, I'm going to ask our infamous question. If your future home had a doorbell and that doorbell played a theme song, what would it play?
Played a theme song. Oh, that's a tough question.
You can do the doorbell in your commercial property when people enter the business building.
I mean, like the first thing that comes to my head is that it's something with Tupac on it, because that's my go-to playlist. What song? I don't know. And as soon as I start thinking of songs, they all become real inappropriate when I think of TikTok songs. And so like, could they push it and How Do You Want It plays it? That doesn't seem quite right. But like, I think it's I think for us, if it was commercial property, it would have to be something crazy.
Yeah.
That's who we are.
Attention seeking.
It's attention seeking. It would definitely be some outrageous.
Something that makes
song.
people uncomfortable on the way in.
Yes. 100%. Like, it would be something Tupac outrageous. Like, How Do You Want It? Let's go with that.
Go with that.
That'll really annoy Claire.
Nice. I fully expect the next time I come to your offices that you've got a doorbell.
You know what? I'm going to do it. Screw it.
You're going to execute on this vision.
Yeah. I'm going to make a TikTok about it.
Thank you for joining our community. Please leave an Apple or Spotify review and provide feedback so we can improve our podcast for you. We really appreciate it. Check out the links in today's episode notes to get access to our free resources and your own NZ Home Loans financial advisor. On that note, a quick reminder, Slice the podcast does not provide financial advice as we're not taking into account your personal circumstances. However, when you join our platform, we have a team of partners like New Zealand Home Loans ready to provide you with financial advice free of charge.